Analysts often are not great at advocating for themselves in terms of salary. In our career services program, we've helped students increase their pay by 20, 30, 40, and even one time $54,000. In this little podcast mini episode, I wanted to break down this one core negotiation concept that we've been teaching our students that can help you advocate for yourself and start earning the salary that you really deserve. The concept is called anchoring. And in terms of a negotiation, it's whoever throws out the first number. So if you're negotiating with your analytics manager, it behooves them to throw out a low price point, and it's in your best interest to throw out a high price point. The concept is that you're negotiating against that set point. In other words, that first number that's thrown out is the anchor point. And unfortunately, if you're currently working in a job where you feel like you're underpaid, the concept of anchoring is very, very proactively working against you. Now, there is one tactic that you can do to help kind of reset the anchor point, and that is to go out and secure another offer. And if you've been following the podcast for a while, you might have caught the sessions where we actually did mentoring sessions with our very first apprentice in the Greensboro College Analytics Apprenticeship Program, Gavin. So Gavin successfully negotiated up a 52% raise. And the way he did that is he went out and secured an offer that was 52% higher than his current salary. Now, what turns out in that situation was that the company really, really needed him, and they were paying him 52% lower than what they could afford to. So when he went in to turn in his 2 weeks notice, they said, hey, whoa, we absolutely need you. We will match this offer. And I mean, that's a big win. But on the flip side of that, that's really, really frustrating that the company was underpaying him by such a drastic amount. And unfortunately, as we're working with more and more students, I'm starting to notice that this is probably more common than not, actually. I think most people working in the analytics space are not so great at negotiating. And also, too, they just don't have the confidence to understand their worth, which gets us into the concept of quantifying the impact of your work on your resume. This is not only a great tactical way to improve your resume, it's almost like a thought exercise to help you reframe how you think about yourself in economic terms. So we've worked with 22 students in our beta test over the last 6 months, and with each and every one of them, I've sat down with them on a one-on-one call to go through their resume line by line to help them think through what was the economic impact that they had at that role. And it was like a light switch got turned on, and they had an aha moment because they were really underselling themselves and not internalizing the value of the work that they were doing. So once you go through and make sure you get at least one quantified impact within each of your job roles that's above and beyond what you're paid, then that kind of sparks, it's almost like a snowball of confidence. So you start to realize, hey, I'm worth more than what I'm paid. Then you get a little bit angry. Then you go out and you apply, and then you go and you interview. And the key here in the interview is there's an asymmetry of information. So when you were talking to the hiring manager, you have two data points that they really want to know. What were you paid in your old role, and what are you worth economically? Now, it's in your best interest, especially if you're paid under market value, don't tell them what you were paid in your old role, because they're going to use that to negotiate you down, and they're going to use it as a negative anchor point. Highlight the economic impact that you've had above and beyond what you were paid. So you might have had a $500,000 insight that you found for your company at the current role. You might only be paid like $50,000 or $60,000 for that. With that just one project, I mean, they're getting a 10x return on their investment of you as an employee. So when you're going out and you're interviewing for new roles, make sure to highlight the economic impact that you've provided. And you should use these as essentially your talking points as you go out and start to interview. So if they start asking you these open-ended questions like, hey, what's your biggest win? Or, tell me about a time you uncover an insight with data. make sure that you run all of those quantified impacts through some type of narrative structure. Jeff Bezos developed a STAR methodology, and I think that's a pretty solid one. So if you can tell the interviewer, I had a $500,000 impact at this company, here was the situation, the task, the action, and the result, that is going to set you apart from the other candidates in the interview pool. But it's also going to set you up to really negotiate much more effectively if you do in fact get the offer. I hope you enjoyed this little mini episode. If you want to hear more advice on how to break into the analytics space, search for our podcast, How to Get an Analytics Job. We're on all the major podcasting platforms.